Howdy guys, and welcome back. I know this has been done before and I have done it occasionally, especially in past videos, but I figured I would just show you guys just a little bit more B10 action, just to give you guys just some setups here. I'm not going to run B10, but just to give you guys some setups to have an idea of what you should be building for B10 if you're trying to break into B10, because I know a lot of people are able to do B10, but obviously not very quickly. If you're coming in more than probably 2 minutes, a minute 45, you're on the slower end, and I probably wouldn't recommend farming it unless you get better gems. But if you're like, I average around like 120 something, which is pretty normal. I'm not OP where I'm doing 1 minute runs all the time, unless I have like amazing RNG for like one run out of 1,000. But let's go ahead and see some potential teams that I can throw together with the astronaut I have that you may have. So if you're trying to break into B10, hopefully this guide will give you a little bit more insight into what you should be doing. So for B10, the normal setup, if you're trying to just break into it, just to be able to do it, is 1 light tank, 2 sappers, and a passive healer or a wave clearer depending on your DPS. So my original team, my first B10 team when I first started, was my light Nike. She was not super evoed. I had fire succubus, who was not super evoed. My water purse, we'll get water miho and water purse. This was my original team. I had a light tank, I had succubus who would help clear out waves with her defense down. Miho was strictly for the golem for applying sap, and then Persephone was Persephone was there to give out the heals. This was my first team and it worked great. It was very, very stable, but it was also extremely slow. As you get more into B10, but before I say as you get more into B10, when you're starting B10, you may need a healer because your mons aren't doing enough DPS to keep you sustained into the golem, which is the goal. So if you have to have a healer in the beginning, that's fine. Hopefully within a month or two you can work through that and get rid of the healer, because that's going to kill your time probably the most. So for those trying to break into it, you can use like Nike. You can farm out a fire succubus. You can, well, not farm out, but you can, you can pull succubi. You can farm out wet miho, and you might not have a wet Persephone, but you can get a water Katine. You could go in here if you want with wood grab bag, water Marie, water siren, just some type of healer to bring in. Even though obviously wet Persephone is probably I keep saying Persephone. My bad. Wet Persephone is probably the best choice, but obviously not optimal. But just throw a healer in there if your mons are dying before you get to the golem. Throw some type of healer in there. Even water siren will do the job. Just make sure they're all level 60, Evo 3 preferably. At the very, very minimum, I would say Evo 2 for a more stable run. But that's just a starting team. So the starting team, I'll break it down for you guys again, is normally a light tank, like Nike, a wave clearer, and 2 sappers, or a sapper, or a sapper and a healer, or you can do 2 sappers and a healer. It just depends on you. It depends on what mons that you have. But that was my original setup here. And as you get more and more acquainted with it, you can start doing slightly riskier groups. Like maybe you have a water miho. If you have 2 water mihos, throw them in there. I have where's she at? Like I have 2 water Artemises, so I would throw both my Artemises in here, and probably a wave clearer like Fire Drac is not bad. He's not bad. He's not the best, but he's not bad. You could throw Dark Kiki in here as a wave clearer if you want. And who else could I throw in here as a wave clearer? You can throw in Anu if you wanted to. You could throw in Water Valk as a wave clearer. You could throw in Fire Siegfried as a wave clearer. So any of these mons that I'm showing you guys, you can use as a wave clearer. Artemis is great. Wet Artemis is great as a sapper. If you don't have a Wet Artemis, hopefully you have a Fire Persephone. If you don't have a Fire Persephone, you can go with the lovely old Wet Miho. Just do 2 Wet Mihos if possible. If you don't have a Fire Siegfried, which is farmable by doing Titans and clan versus clan defense, if you're not doing those, get on it. But he's extremely farmable. He's not bad to have at all. Fire Leo can work as a wave clearer as well, but he does need the gems in order to do that. So there are options in what you can do, but all of these mons are pretty useful. You can even use Fire Cura as a healer and just run this setup. Will this be optimal? Of course not. It will not be optimal, but can you run B10 with this setup? Of course you can, and that's what it really means. Your real goal is to dip them toes in there and then dip the whole foot in that pool of B10 action. That is what this guide is here for, you guys. Trying to think of anyone else you could throw in there. You could throw in Grass Valk, even though she's more, I would say, clan versus clan related, but she can self-sustain herself and heal the squad. And let me show you guys this. This is just a poor man's example. If you're going to do B10 with light mons, you need to have all light or just 1 light tank. If you're running it with 3 light mons and maybe a dark type, or if you're running with 2 light mons and they're both not tanks, you're wasting your time, man. You're wasting your time. If you're going to do a light run, do all light. Just go all in or nothing. It's like, it's nerf or nothing. Go in with all your light mons if possible. And to do this and pull this off like a whole light Radis team with, what is it, a light Todora. Could be wrong with pronouncing his name, wouldn't be the first time. But if you're going to do that, then your mons need to be perfectly gemmed or darn near perfectly gemmed to do that, to pull that off. So if you can't do that, don't worry about it. But if you're going to run light, like I said, go all in. If not, you can use Light Nike as a tank. You can use Light Odin if you pick Light Odin. Where's she at? You could possibly use Venus, but Venus would probably only need to be in there for heals. And if you somehow got rid of your Light Nike, there are other options as well. Let me see. You could just do like a neutral one, but you're probably going to need to run a healer though, if you did like a more neutral type of run. So let's say we did Dark Kraken, well, Dark Sea Star, Artemis. I could possibly need Purse for that because they might not be able to survive. But since I know my mons are gemmed up properly, they're not gonna die before they get to the boss. So I could throw in a wave clearer instead, like not Dark Thor, like Dark Kiki if I wanted to. Like this is viable. Is it optimal? No, but it's viable. It should get me around 2 minutes, I imagine. So there's different choices that you guys can have. I'm trying to think of any other ones I could throw out here. Like sometimes I like using my Wood Anu in both my Sarahs. Both my Sarahs? No, only one Sarah, and then both my Water Artemis. Like this is a type of run I like. Sometimes I throw in Fire Leo because I know that he's going to clear. Him and Dark Sarah work together to clear out the waves before we get to the Golem. Then once we get to the Golem, we have 2 sappers that are going to burst down the Golem. So if you're not running B10 with at least 1 sapper and your time is abysmally high, that's probably your reason why. I recommend at very, very minimum at least 1 sapper. 2 would be optimal. 3 might be a little bit overkill, but if you have like 3 radishes, go for it. 3 light radishes, go for it, man. 3 would be overkill unless it was a light type. And have 1 wave clearer in either a tank or another wave clearer, or that's it. I mean, you could bring a healer too, so I could replace Leo with, like I said, where's he at? With Fire Keep It and call this run a day. Call this run a day. So there are mons out there that you guys should have. You might not have the exact mons that I have, but you can have a combination of these mons. And like I said, maybe you don't have Dark Sarah, you could always throw in Fire Siegfried. If you don't have Water Artemis, you can always put in Fire Purse, who I don't own, or you can always put in Wet Miho for the time being, just to get you through to B10. I definitely hope that this guide helped and just give you guys just a little bit more insight into what you could choose and what you could use for B10. You can mix and match with these mons and see what works for you. You can definitely be safe in your B10 runs and run maybe Dark Fibian. Let's say Dark Fibian. We'll use Wet Miho. I need a wave clearer. We'll say Anu, and probably be wise to go with another sapper. So I would say another sapper like Fire Purse or another Water Miho if you don't have either one of those. If not, you could go with another wave clearer. But in my opinion, I would try and go in with 2 sappers at very, very minimum if you want to get a decent clear time in it. But in the beginning, just starting out, let's go ahead and finish this one up. Let's say Fire Siegfried. Let's throw in Fire Succubus. Something like this should be able to handle B10 relatively easy. Obviously, not optimal, but easy, and that's the point of this video. So I definitely hope this video helps you guys out. If you guys have any questions about B10, feel free to hit me up in the comments. There's other guys checking the comments out as well. Feel free to visit the Discord, and we can take a look at your gems there in your mom box there and help you decide what you want to do and how we can possibly speed up your time in B10. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this gives you some insight into the lovely world of B10, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace out.